Yo, we're back out here with some more Fortnite real quick. Now today, after all the support you guys showed on my console keybinds video, like you guys showed a lot of support on that. In fact, like the main thing is you guys gave me like a lot of suggestions in the comments of that video as well. So feel free to do it in the comments of this one as well. But if you don't know already, I'm bringing you another one. I've developed my console button binds a little bit, and now I found the best one for editing and building, all that different stuff. You guys see people on PC, you know what I'm saying, building instantly, editing instantly. It just seems seamless, but on console it was a little bit more difficult because I don't know if you guys remember. Like for example, if I build, let me break this tree real quick. For example, if I built a stair, if I wanted to edit, it would be a little bit awkward because I would have to hold circle, and you guys will see if you look at like the circle part right there, it's not instant. You have to like wait for the circles to go around, so that does like mess up your timings with certain things and stuff like that. But there is a way, using the new button binds that they've implemented into the game, there is a way to do that all instantly. This might be better than any one you guys have ever seen yet, because I've been trying this in playgrounds for a few hours now just to see if it actually works properly. It does, and this is probably the closest thing you're gonna get to like PC building on console without plugging it in like a keyboard and stuff, because you can just do it so quick. And once you get used to this, it will feel a little bit slow at first. You'll be a god, honestly. You'll be building and editing instantly. But before I do show you guys my custom keybinds right here, definitely make sure you smash that button on this video real quick. Let's see how many likes we can get. And also, if you are new around here, make sure you subscribe to the channel, man. We're still trying to hit 100k. You guys have been showing a lot of love recently, man. I do appreciate it. But now let me show you guys my keybinds real quick, and I'm gonna hop into a game so you guys can see. This is normal builder pro. This is what like I would use before the keybinds, but now what I've started using, I've started doing this. Now I don't know if you guys can tell right off rip, but the usual things, obviously I've changed like the bumpers and triggers around. I've just like flipped them, so like my aiming down sights is on the bumpers, my shooting is on the bumpers, and then like my switching weapons on the triggers. That's just some usual stuff. But in terms of like the editing and building that helps me out, what I've done is I've legit changed edit to the touchpad. Now I know that seems extremely weird, and I will explain it in a second, but I just want to show you guys this real quick. So my edit is now with the touchpad instead of like having to hold circle, which you guys saw. And also the reason for that is that it becomes instant. Like you don't have to wait for that circle to go all the way around. It becomes instant. It legit switches to edit mode real quick. And also I've switched switch mode, like, because you can do it like this. Look, you can go switch mode and edit, as you guys can see, like the blue one is essentially, it says in the top right, hold action, which is what you don't want. If you guys remember correctly, edit is in blue because you'd have to hold it. You'd have to hold it down, but you don't want that at all. You kind of want it to assign edit to like its own button, so you don't have to hold it. So that's why you change circle to just switch mode rather than switch mode edit, which is what it would be usually. And then obviously because the touchpad has changed to edit, I've had to move the map to right on the D-pad. And the reason I've done that is because it's just kind of a seamless thing, do you know what I'm saying? So if you got your thumb on the analog stick, you can just like, if you're running, you can just press the map anyway, do you know what I'm saying? You can just push your thumb up to the map, and that's like the closest on the D-pad to the analog stick. So I just found that easy. And right on the D-pad usually is like squad comms, which I don't use anyway, so it's not that deep. And then also I couldn't change crouch or anything. I felt like changing crouch really like had an effect on how I played. It was mad annoying. Crouching is pretty important, but other than that, it's pretty simple. Like the rest is just flipped as well. Again, on building, it's flipped. You don't really have to do it if you don't want to, but for me, building is flipped as well in terms of the bumpers and triggers. I put the map to right on the D-pad again in the build controls. Switch mode is still circle, and then edit is still on the touchpad. So that's basically what I do. Now it seems a bit weird, I know, but trust me, once you get used to it, it's crazy. Now you're able to do things like this, which I've been learning, so don't judge me if I do it wrong. But what I've been learning, I'll do it slow first, but what I've been learning is to do this. So you can play safe. You're pushing someone who's like, I don't know, on a mountain or has already got high ground on you. Sometimes at certain angles, like when you're pushing up like this, say if that's the ramp building up to me and I'm already here in a tower, I could shoot him as he's like running up to me. But if I was in this position, what I've learned to do, I probably won't do this every time depending on the situation, but what I've learned to do is you can actually do this. So as you're pushing up, you can put the wall down and build stairs. You know what I'm saying? As you're sprinting. And that's the whole point of switching to the touchpad, is because you can keep running whilst you're switching to edit mode and switching back, because again, your thumb is so close to the touchpad as you're running anyway, so you can just tap it when you want to. And that's what I learned. So the reason why you do this is because that split second that wall's there and you're building the wall, I mean floor, you guys know what I'm talking about. When you're putting those floors down, obviously you're blocking the bullets and you probably take a lot less damage. I had to leave that playgrounds, man. I hate recording or showing you stuff when it's dark, man, annoying, but you guys saw what I was doing anyway. You're able to edit a lot quicker because you don't have to move your finger or move your thumb as you're doing anything. It's mad simple, and you can keep sprinting as well. It's so easy. I mean, obviously sometimes you're gonna mess it up, you know what I'm saying? Obviously sometimes you're gonna mess it up, and this video isn't even just to do with this push, but it's like if you could just edit seamlessly like PC players do, like this, bro, it's just so much easier. Now bear in mind, I've probably been doing this for like a couple hours in playgrounds mode right now, which is why Okay, which is why it may seem like I'm doing it pretty easy, but trust me, it does take a little bit to get used to. But even just simple like editing downstairs and stuff like that, like it's mad annoying to have to move your thumb to circling to be able to do that. It just doesn't make any sense, and that's what like console players were restricted to. You know what I'm saying? Having to like have that little like even like half a second, maybe less than half a second delay while trying to edit. It puts you off, bro. It puts you off completely. But now you're able to do these things. It's crazy. So I'm just happy, man. I'm just happy that you're finally able to do these things. Honestly, it's just like made pushing people a whole lot easier, for real. Like, bro, if I can do this as I'm pushing someone, bro, just look at this. It's interesting though, because me personally, I really like if I'm playing solos and stuff like that, I don't really edit a lot anyway. So this is just like for situations where you really feel like you have to, or you feel like it'll give you an advantage. Because bro, like, people really underestimate the power of editing, man. Like, bro, even if I don't know, you just build it up like this, bro, you just get a little bit higher. Let me just get, you could just like change the direction of different things, man. Or as you fall in, just like do this. You don't even have to be the fastest, but say if someone's below you. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, it's so easy, and that was my first attempt at doing that. Leave me alone. When I change my settings and do stuff like this, don't get mad at me, but when I change my settings and stuff, I like topping 50-50 just because it's a little bit easier, you know, to test it out on people. Of course, I probably will like run solos or duos tonight and stuff like that. But as for right now, for video purposes, I do want to hop in some 50-50 just so you guys can see me in more engagement, see how it actually works, rather than just, you know, hopping in solos, getting like, I don't know, like 4 kills because they go mad slow and people die mad quick so these new locations. In reality, that's just my excuse for playing 50-50. What about you guys, man? Have you guys used the actual button mapping yet on console or not? Because bro, I thought that was an enemy. I know a lot of people haven't. Wait, bro. Oh my. That isn't. You jacked my kill. I got 95 on that, man. I got 9. I'm taking. Alright, we got 1 kill, boy. But yeah, let me know if you've used the button mapping yet, and give me some suggestions in the comments of this video, man. If you think anything's better than mine right now, let me know. Because I mean, I feel like I've got a pretty good setup right now. I do like the setup that I'm using. It's definitely a lot better than standard Builder Pro, just because simply the editing factor, it just makes it a lot easier to edit and build. Which was initially like without all of this, it was bro, it was so annoying. Oh, okay, yeah, we're treating me like that. Alright, cool. But at the end of the day, man, it just comes down to what you guys prefer. I know there was a lot of people that were still amazing at the game without all of this like setup stuff. So it just comes down to personal preference. But if you guys think, I think I hear someone. Oh. Come on, kid. Come on, kid. Alright, let me get up here. Oh. Yo, why are you rifting me? I'm following him now. Hey, you ain't getting away, bro. Unless he goes back over there. Yeah, that's probably not a good idea for me. Yeah, that's right. Bro, what the? Okay, we're somehow still alive. We survived it. Bro, they all tried rushing us. That was crazy. Oh. But yeah, man, this just makes it a lot easier. It really just makes it a lot easier to just push anyone, outbuild anyone. Later. I can help us bring this back. I haven't got any kills right now. I haven't contributed to the whole 9 kills that we've managed to get as a team. Yo, is that an enemy? Oh! Yo. Oh, bro, if I get another... Alright. Bro, it's getting... Yo, look how outnumbered we are. Now we're 7 behind, and we have to try and bring this back for the squad somehow. I think we should be able to, though. It's not that big of a deficit. Tell me how many people I just knocked just now. I didn't get one kill for it. Like, how? What am I? Let's go. Come on, man. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I'll take that.
It's so dark out here in space. And it's been so long since I've seen a face. My eyes are shut, but I can see the void between you and me.
Here are 8 tips for finding the best keybinds in Fortnite. Presented by Fortnite Master. Good key bindings are the foundation for good gameplay, but finding the optimal key bindings can be time consuming. In this video, we'll give some guidelines you should follow when setting your key bindings, examples of top players' key binds, and include a few ways to practice your new binds and playgrounds. Without wasting any time, let's get started. Keybinds refer to specific keys you use to perform actions in-game, like shooting and building. Movement keybinds, for example, are always bound to WASD, while shooting and aiming down sight are bound to left and right click. These are your core keybinds and shouldn't need changing. Other keybinds like your weapon slots, building, and edit buttons are all keybinds that you should think about changing. The default bindings for these can work, but aren't necessarily optimal. Changing them could make certain things easier to execute in-game. Trying to find the best key bindings may feel overwhelming at first because every player seems to have different preferences. There are, however, patterns that almost every pro player and streamer follows when it comes to binds. Ultimately, you should test different setups and stick with key bindings that are comfortable for you and work well with your gameplay. Before we talk about specific keybinds for weapon slots, building, and editing, we need to distinguish the most valuable keys on your keyboard. The most important keys are those that are closest to your movement buttons because they're the easiest to reach. This includes keys like Q, E, F, Z, X, C, V, and 1, 2, 3, and 4. You should try to bind these keys to actions you use most often, like main weapon slots, building, and editing. It's also important to recognize the value of left shift, caps lock, and tab. These are 3 more important keys that can be quick and easy to hit once you get used to it. Many of your favorite players and streamers also use mouse buttons for extra accessibility binds. The most common mouse buttons are mouse button 4 and mouse button 5, which are usually 2 buttons on the side of the mouse. Some mice have more than that, but we're going to stick with just 2 mouse binds in this guide. Unfortunately, not all mice have extra buttons, and this might not be accessible to everyone. However, if you do have a mouse with extra buttons, mouse button 4 and 5 are pretty easy to hit with your thumb, and should be considered additional important keys. They work quite well for any of the 4 building keybinds or weapon slots. First, you want to unbind Q. This key is much more useful for other stuff, and you never need to use that button because you can just swap to a specific build/weapon to achieve the same effect. Your pickaxe is bound to F by default. We recommend rebinding this because F is one of the easiest keys to reach, making it great for something like edit. A decent workaround is to move your weapon slots to 2 to 6 and bind your pickaxe to 1. If this doesn't feel comfortable, try checking out the pickaxe bind that some of your favorite players use. The use button is bound to E by default. Changing this bind is more of a matter of preference. If you feel that E can be more useful for a build or weapon, you can try rebinding it to an extra mouse key or another key relatively close to WASD. Myth and Cypher PK, for example, have use bound to V, so they can have E bound to an important build or weapon. You should turn on sprint by default too. It's good in general and frees up a valuable key in left shift. Crouch is a good bind for this key, which will free up left control for something like auto run. Now that we know a little more about the important keys and default binds, let's talk about your building keybind specifically. The default binds are Z, X, C, V, which aren't horrible, but we would recommend playing around with them to find the most comfortable combination for you. For building keybinds like your wall, floor, ramp, and pyramid, keep them on your most important keys like Q, E, Z, F, C, V, mouse button 4, or mouse button 5. Finding the right combination of these binds is a matter of trial and error and may take some time testing in Playground. Your edit button should be bound to a key that's extremely accessible and can be hit accurately multiple times in a quick session. That's why many pros and streamers choose F for their edit, because it sits right next to the key that your pointer finger naturally sits on. Any of the other valuable keys mentioned previously will work too, as long as you're comfortable making quick edits with your chosen key. If you're using a mouse with more than 2 buttons, stay away from having more than 2 building binds on your mouse. While mouse buttons are convenient, many more advanced builds require you to quickly click a sequence of keys. With more than 2 builds on your mouse, some of these become unnecessarily difficult. Default binds for weapons are F for pickaxe and 1 to 5 for weapon slots. These aren't horrible, but you might want to change some of them if you're having trouble hitting any of the number keys or you want to use F for another important bind like edit. In our experience, 1 to 4 are the easiest to hit of all the number keys. So if you want your pickaxe and weapons bound to numbers, use 1 to 4 for your pickaxe, AR, shotgun, and SMG slots. You want your main weapons to be on number keys that are the easiest to reach because these are the weapons that you'll be using mid-combat in intense scenarios that require fast decision making and action. Furthermore, you want to make sure these keys are easy for you to hit quickly and accurately. It's very important to be able to swap between your shotgun and SMG seamlessly, so make sure you have them binded close to each other. This reduces the amount of mental effort required in those high pressure fights. Binding your weapons to keys other than number keys is an option too, although this will require you to play around with your keybinds a bit more. If you're going to do this, keep your AR, shoddy, and SMG bound to your most important keys. Your 4th and 5th slot, which are usually reserved for weapons like snipers, explosives, or healing items, can be bound to keys that are a little further from WASD. After you figure out building, editing, and weapon slot keybinds that are comfortable, it's easier to choose the rest of your binds with the remaining available keys. Keys like T, G, B, 5, and 6 are great for things like trap slot, rotating building, repairing building, etc. One of the most daunting things about setting keybinds is knowing where to start. A good starting point would be to look at what some pro players do, since their keybinds are tested on the daily and have been refined over a long period of time. We think Ghost Bizzle's keybinds are a great example, as they're more similar to the defaults than other players. All 4 of his building pieces are bound to keys immediately surrounding movement, Q, C, V, and X. His pickaxe and weapons are bound to the default 1 to 6. It's hard to question their effectiveness, with Bizzle being one of the top pros in terms of prize money earned. The first thing when testing new keybinds is to make sure you can do everything you want while keeping your movement smooth. You shouldn't need to stop moving to build or take out close range weapons. Also, remember that if you have to change your keybinds, getting used to new keybinds always sucks. Practicing in Playground is only useful to figure out patterns and getting muscle memory down. Getting accustomed to your new keybinds will take playing and dying embarrassingly in real games. Thank you all for watching this video.